Deepest apologies, guys. That was me forgetting to turn my audio settings, share settings on, and completely talking to myself for the past 3 laps. But anyway, hello everyone, welcome back to the Group 1 race. I do sincerely apologise about that and the lack of commentary in the early phases of the race. But what I was saying to myself is that Dutchy got himself on pole position by about a tenth and has now taken an early lead in this race by about 1.2 seconds, and a bit of a mistake there on the rear from him. It's Tuesday in second, closely followed by his teammate Target in third. I'm in fourth under pressure from Dan Schneider in fifth place, Jetsy in sixth, Ivan in seventh, Cryptek in eighth, Holland in ninth, and Tim, after an early mistake on lap 1, dropping down to 10th place, and Bonnie Evil in 11th place on an outlap, so I'm assuming was a pit stop there for the English driver, and is onto a set of hard tyres. Play Dutchy picking up a 5/10 penalty early on in this race. I'm assuming that, I think that was for cutting the first Degner. Meanwhile, Tiger putting his teammate Tuesday under pressure, going into Spoon Curb, couldn't quite get the move done. These two are going to be working together to try and stop Play Dutchy from winning the championship. But meanwhile, the top 7 really pulling away from the likes of Cryptek and Holland, who are going to try and be working together to try and get themselves up the grid. And thank you, Ben Roberts, for the recovery. And it's been a while since I've been up here in the commentary box in GE Sport, and already making a few bloopers there, not having the audio share settings on for the first 3 laps. But we are approaching lap 4, and Dutchy with a 4/10 penalty now, so it's able to serve a 10th. I think it's quite easy to serve penalties around this track. You can take turn 1, lift off a little bit earlier after turn 1, especially at the hairpin as well. You can definitely serve a lot of your penalty there. But you can see on the minimap the train of cars all the way from 1st to 7th. These guys really sticking in the slipstream and looking after their tyres and fuel, and we know how much the likes of Play Dutchy likes to look after his fuel in these races with the times for fuel depletion. So just keep an eye out on what he decides to do in this race. As you can see, serving a little bit more of his penalty through the S's in sector 1, but yeah, well, like I was going to say, everyone, well, I was saying, but you couldn't hear me, everyone's starting on the soft compound tyres. Bonnie Evil onto the hards after making an early mistake, so she's going to try and save the fuel possibly and go long in this race. But meanwhile, overall, it was a clean start. Ivan looking for a few moves on Jetsy, kind of just being caught up in a slipstream train as things stand. And here comes Ivan now down the inside of Jetsy, the Nissan versus the Lexus, and Jetsy with a more grippier rear end in that Lexus is able to keep 6th place for now, just losing touches with a little bit, just losing out a little bit to Dan Schneider there. The gap now about 6/10. It's really important to keep within the slipstream, especially around this track, or especially around the entire season, as the slipstream is so strong and so powerful. You can see the likes of Cryptek and Holland just losing out a little bit to these guys. The gap about 4, maybe 5, 6 seconds or so between your two previous Freshman League Red Bull Constructors champions there, having their fight for 8th place. But overall, it's still Dutchy who leads the race, has served 3/10 of his 5/10 penalty, now has 2/10 of it to serve. And I think at this phase of the race, it is Tiger who does have the fastest lap of the race, so we'll be picking up an extra point at the end if it was to stay as it is. But just looking through the rest of the grid, and I think I've been closer to Jetsy than Jetsy is to Dan Schneider, so I'll keep an eye on this battle for 6th place as well as the battle for the leads. We've got Cryptek and Holland Campion running closely together as well for 8th place. These two just dropping out a little bit to the leaders, and I wonder, just going to have a quick look at this battle between Finn and Jetsy. Finn getting really close behind that Lexus, runs a little bit wide on the exit of turns 6 and 7, I think that is, and that's just going to allow Jetsy to accelerate away from the German driver just a little bit, and enough to keep him ahead for 6th place. But I wonder if I look at the live timings, can I get the interval gaps? I can get the interval gaps, so this is one way of getting the interval gaps. It doesn't mean you can't see the action, but we can see that Toussaint has now just over a second behind Play Dutchy, so Dutchy is putting the foot down a little bit in this phase of the race, lapped by about a 27 I think it was. I should remember, it was only 3 or 4 days ago, but some per se I have the memory of a goldfish, so that won't come in handy when trying to remember what happened in this race. But yeah, Cryptek and Holland still running really closely together on track. The battle for 8th place, and crucially also Constructors Championships as well. But if we move down for the battle for 6th place, you can see Ivan is gaining and gaining and gaining on Jetsy, but just not enough down the straight in towards 130R. I thought he was going to go for that move there before, but it just seems like that Dan Schneider really helping out his teammate there and giving him the slipstream to keep ahead of the Coca-Cola racing team of Ivan and Cryptek there. So Jetsy is able to maintain 6th place for now, but for how much longer, as Ivan just looking for a little bit of a move, pulled over to the right hand side a little bit just to let Jetsy know he was there. He's going to go to the inside in towards turn 1, but Jetsy's just able to maintain 6th place for now. And I didn't catch this, but I think, oh yeah, Dutchy, I remember now, Dutchy runs wide in turns 1, and that allows Toussaint and Tiger to go through up into 3rd place. And it's really weird kind of watching this race back. I almost forgot that happened until just saw it there. But Dutchy dropping down to 3rd place allows Toussaint and Tiger to take the net leads of the race. But yeah, this train is still continuing, 1st to 7th, separated by 5 seconds. You can see them all there going through the hairpin, and here goes Dan Schneider on a move, well, for a move on me, diving it down the inside, and we're going to go wheel to wheel now in the run towards Spoon. The pink car versus a yellow car, going in the run up towards Spoon. Dan Schneider on the inside. Can he get the move done? I'm going to try and hold it around the outside, but ultimately can't get hold it there. It's Jetsy running wide onto the AstroTurf. That's going to cost him a lot of time, and running onto the AstroTurf in this game, or especially around this track, is really costly, as you can lose a lot of time and the car just drags out wide and you can't do much to stop it. But you can see here we're well, I'm gaining on the back of Dan Schneider, down through 130R, not close enough to make the move just yet. Going to look for one down the inside, but just couldn't quite get it done through the chicane. And approaching lap 7 from lap 6. It's going to be Toussaint who leads the way. You can see there Holland Campion getting past Cryptek down the straight and up into 8th place, and these two will be trying to catch up to this train of cars in front, all the way from the lead to 7th place, separated by, you can see here, barely nothing. I'd say 7, 10, maybe even 5 seconds between those guys. And yes, Ben Roberts actually making a mistake is a rare sight, but one that people often like to see, as he has won the majority of these races in the past. And I can get the championship standing up for you. And Dutchy, before this race, has won 7 of the past 10 races, so he's definitely been one to watch in this championship. You can see Tiger now is gaining on the back of his BCMR teammate in the green and black car, his teammate in the red and black car created by Toussaint 0208, who is currently leading this race and won the championship in the first GT Sport season. Currently leads the way, allows Tiger to possibly save some fuel in this race, as the more fuel you save, the shorter your pit stop will be, and potentially longer you can take your tyres. As you can see there, I think Jetsy and Tiger have the most fuel, so those two are in a strong position for this race. Tiger currently having the fastest lap, 1 minute 47.9. You can see the purple indicator on the right hand side of the screen showing that he does have the fastest lap of the race, and it's all over the back of his BCMR teammate. And here's Jetsy looking for a move on myself. I've been looking for a move on Jetsy as well, so these guys really close together on track. As here comes Finn now looking for a move on Jetsy. We're going to get an let's get an onboard third person shot of this. It would be easy if I had my keyboard, but this is a replay and we can't unfortunately get replays within a replay. But there's Ivan looking for a potential move, just trying to eye out where Jetsy is stronger and where he's weaker going through turn 1. But yeah, it's been a really clean start from these front guys. We've got I think Cryptek made a mistake and has now dropped down to 10th place. You can see in his lap times, his last lap was a 1 minute 59.3, so making a mistake there allows Tim up into 9th place, Holland up into 8th place, and you can see the gaps are starting to open up between myself and Dan Schneider. Dan Schneider as well, that's the wrong way, just opening up a little bit of a gap between himself and Dutchy, but still within slipstream range, which is really, really important in these races, having driven in the past 10 of them, and these drivers driving in seasons 1 and 2 will understand how crucial being in the slipstream is, especially in these races. Jetsy getting a little bit out of shape is going to allow Ivan now to try and go around the outside in towards the run up to Spoon. It will be the inside for Spoon curve. Here goes the German on the Dutch driver, and Jetsy's just able to maintain the 6th place in this race. I think the Lexus has got faster more straight line speed than the Nissan, but I think the Nissan's got more acceleration, but then the Lexus has got a grippier rear end, so you can get the foot down slightly earlier. So all these Group 2 cars are really balanced. The Honda though is a whole different story, the Honda NXX, but yeah, overall all these Group 2 cars are pretty balanced, which is why BOP doesn't affect them at all, as Toussaint actually has his windscreen wiper on. Did not notice that. To be honest, I wasn't close enough to Toussaint the majority of this race to see that he had his windscreen wiper on. So maybe it's going to start raining in this very overcast race, but unfortunately dynamic weather isn't a thing. And there is a car off at turn 1, I think that's Bon Evil, as making a mistake there on the hard tyres, allowing everyone to go through cleanly. And you can see there, just flicking through the top 7. I was flicking through them at like that speed, and they're all going through that corner at pretty much the same time. So these guys are really close together. I can have a quick look and see what's happening in the chat. Yeah, Ben, you'll just have to find out what happened in the race. Yeah, lap 9 out of 27 now, and we're just going to start seeing the first few pit stops in the next few laps. And well, these races, they're quite tactical, because you've got the likes of Dutchy, who likes to save a lot of fuel, as I did not see this. Jetsy got past myself, battling for 5th place, just losing out a little bit to Dan Schneider. We're going to go wheel to wheel in the run up towards Spoon. There's Jetsy on the inside, I'm on the outside. I think he gets the better of me here. Going to go wheel to wheel though. Here comes Ivan, he's going to look for a potential move on one of us, and then in the end Jetsy gets the move up into 5th place, and that's the battle for 5th place. Holland Campion, kind of in a bit of no man's land, is under pressure a little bit from Cryptech, as not sure what happened to Tim, who's dropped down to 10th place. Looking at his lap times, maybe on lap 7 he made somewhat of a mistake. Could be struggling with the tyre wear as well, but you can just see how closely these guys are running together. 1st to 7th, still we're 10 laps into this race at the end of lap 9, and all still running really closely to one another. And you can see there in the bottom left, Dutchy, well, the front 3 doing really well to look after their tyres, and you can see from there on in as Ivan as well doing really well to preserve his tyres in this race. I think Jetsy, Dan and myself starting to struggle at this phase in the race on our soft tyres. The tyre regulations are you have to use 2 different sets of tyres, whether it be medium soft or super soft hard or whatever you want to do, as long as you use 2 different tyre compounds. And so yeah, Toussaint leading this race, and just bear with me 1 second, guys. Never mind. I thought I kept my mic on mute, but it is working. So where are we in this race? We're on lap 10 out of 27. It is a 50-minute race, but in the replay you can actually see the timer. But this race ended up being 27 laps. I think it was 27 or 28 laps, as you can see there, Finn getting the move down on myself. Oh yeah, I remember this now. I made a mistake, and that's why I'm about 4 seconds behind Ifin. So the battle for 1st to 7th is now 1st to 6th, and we are currently well, almost halfway through this race, and it's Toussaint who's leading, still got his windscreen wiper on, didn't notice that. Tiger in 2nd, Dutchy in 3rd, Dan in 4th, Jetsy in 5th, and Ivan in 6th is the battle currently for 6th place. And here goes Finn, going to send one down the inside of Jetsy. He's able to slow the car down in time and just doesn't go for the move in towards the chicane. Does anyone decide to pit this lap? No, they don't. And I think this is where I decide to dive it into the pits for a fresh set of tyres and fuel. Now, in this game, the undercut is so powerful, but it's whether you can make the fuel go towards the end, because you can see there I've got 12 litres of fuel left, so I'm not going to have to refuel as much as these guys, because they're doing another lap or 2 or maybe 3, so they're going to have less fuel and spend longer time in the pit lane. But it does mean for the end of the race I will have more tyre wear and lower fuel, so I might have to save more in that stint, which is why this is such a tactical battle currently, as well as a physical one on track. You can see 2 teammates here, Dan Schneider and Jetsy, battling for 4th place, as Dan Schneider still able to keep up just about with Play Dutchy, about 1.2 seconds separating these guys, and Ivan tucking in behind Jetsy as well. I think Ivan has or had an LLP 1 going into this race, which means he will drop down 1 position at the end of the race, and he's going to try and send one down the inside of Jetsy, but he wasn't able to get the move done, as Dan Schneider getting running a little bit wide. Jetsy had a look for it on his teammate, and you can see there the fuel light starting to go on for a few of these drivers, mainly Ivan and Holland Campion at this stage of the race. Jetsy, Dan, Dutchy, Tiger and Toussaint all having at least more than 2 laps of fuel left. The fuel light indicates about 1.2 laps of fuel left, 1.5, which is when you know that these guys are going to pit. So Finn and Holland will certainly be in this lap unless they are going to drastically save, but you can just see the slipstream train down the back straight heading towards 130R, and the different sea of colours. We've got red and green and blue, yellow and pink, as here goes Ivan sending one down the inside of Jetsy, once again almost a carbon copy of what he tried to do last lap. And I think we're going to see some more drivers into the pits this lap, as Dan Schneider almost hitting the pit wall there on the run into the pits, and Ivan follows him in. You can see these guys have got 6 and 8% of fuel left, so you can see these guys up front really saving their fuel well. Toussaint having less fuel than Tiger, and Dutchy as well having about the same as Tiger. Then there's a car off, it's Jetsy round at turn 1, getting onto the AstroTurf and losing out big time. He's able to do a wonderful 360, get himself facing in the right direction, but that's really unfortunate for Jetsy there. Now he's now lost time to Dutchy. You can see how much time he's lost. Wait for the interval gaps to reset, and of course they're not going to reset, are they? No, but it's definitely more than a second there. But anyway, looking to see where the pit stops phase out. You can see they're gaining a lot of time back on Dan Schneider after making a mistake on the lap before I came into the pits. That gap is now down to about 3/10, and Ifin going for a super soft and under fueling the car. You can see there in the bottom left he's got about 75% of his fuel left. Meanwhile, Dan Schneider and I all refueling our car, and I don't remember putting in not a full tank, so that's really interesting to see there. But you can see Jetsy now with his fuel light on. The tyres are smoking red hot, all 4 tyres. This track very average on the tyre wear, unlike tracks like Big Willow and Infield A, very average on the tyres. But you can see there Dutchy, Tiger and Toussaint all with very similar tyre wear. Dutchy now up into second place. We'll be looking for a move on Tiger Assassin, and you can see how much time they're losing on these worn tyres. You can see on the right hand side of your screen on lap 3 Dutchy was doing a 1:48.3, now doing a 1:52.6 and a 53 flat, so that's how much time you can lose on worn tyres. And here goes Tiger diving it into the pits. His teammate Toussaint follows him in, and Dutchy stays out for another lap. You can see his fuel bar's not in the red. He's still got somewhat tyres left. Jetsy also comes into the pits. Now this is going to be interesting to see where Ifin, Dan and myself are going to feed out in terms of these guys all pitting for tyres and fuel. You can see the tyres are on for Tiger and Toussaint, and now in the refueling process. Here comes Ifin now round the final corner and down the start-finish straight. Where are these guys going to merge out in terms of Tiger and Toussaint? You can see they're still in the pit lane. Someone's coming at the pit lane, so Ifin's jumping Tiger and Toussaint, and here goes myself and Dan now past Toussaint, and that is how effective the undercut can be, pitting 1 or 2 laps earlier and gaining that much time without having to refuel as much. But it does mean we are going to be vulnerable at the end of this and the final stint. But it's the undercut really effective on tracks where it's hard to overtake. Not tracks like, I wouldn't say tracks like Monza where you can just slipstream and save the fuel, but what's a good track? Autopolis. Autopolis is a really good example. It's a really hard track to overtake. Well, there's a few overtaking opportunities, but the dirty air makes it really hard to follow another car. You can see Dutchy here on lap 13 stays out on his soft tyres, so going for a bold strategy. Obviously I know what strategy he's doing. Not going to spoil it though for everyone. Here goes Toussaint diving it down the inside of myself. I can't spectate Toussaint for some reason. There we go. And the British driver gets himself up into 4th place. I'm going to try and put him under a bit of pressure, maybe look for the outside, but honestly I don't have the grip or the pace to keep up with Toussaint. You can see just how the tyres being on pitting 2 laps early, you can still see the difference in tyre wear already on the super soft tyres, and Dutchy staying out for another lap. And we have not seen anyone do it so far, but it looks like Dutchy could possibly be doing a 1-stop here tonight at Suzuka. And out of all the tracks to do a 1-stop, an interesting choice with lap times in the 48s and getting towards the low 50s once the tyre wear starts to kick in. Ifin in the chat saying Suzuka next season please. I'll certainly write it down for you. Suzuka actually was one a surprisingly good race. I think a lot of people were dreading it going into this one, as Jetsy and Cryptech were going with Will. It said they were fighting for position on the interval timings gap, but yeah, it turns out they weren't going wheel to wheel, just maybe a bit of lag in the replay cameras. But yeah, I know a lot of people before this race were saying how it's going to be really difficult to overtake. Mainly turn 1 and 130R were going to be the only 2 overtaking opportunities, but I think a lot of drivers thought that this was one of the best races of the season. Dan Schneider getting it all wrong at this exit of the second Degner. Toussaint's going to go through, and maybe I might look for a move myself towards the outside of the Dutch driver. Tiger's going to get involved in this as well. To the inside of myself I run too wide, and that's the British driver who gets up into 5th place. Also likes the Mount Panorama King, undefeated at that track technically. Unfortunately couldn't race there in season 1, but who knows, it might be on the calendar or making a return next season. I haven't really sorted all of that out next. But here comes Dutchy on lap 14, round the final few corners. Will he come into the pits? Finally he does so, doing the Sergio Perez of Portimao, and finally coming to the pits on lap 14 with only 2% of fuel, so one more lap and he'd have been donezo. Here goes Tiger now looking for a move on Dan Schneider, going to send one to the inside, and these two going to go wheel to wheel through the final two corners where Senna and Prost had their famous crash, and Dan Schneider's able to maintain third place for now. And luckily, because this is my replay feature, I can see my exact penalties, 0.037 penalties. Imagine finishing that at the end of the race and it rounds up to a second. So yeah, it's really easy to serve penalties in this game around this track. There's, well, some tracks easier than others, certainly. It's like Monza, you can brake just slightly early for turn 1 and serve about 7/10 of a penalty. But as it stands, Ifin leads this race now, going for his aggressive super soft strategy for his Coca-Cola racing team. His other teammate down in 8th place at the minute, going wide and has engine damage and front right suspension damage. That's not the best time to talk about Ivan's teammate. And unfortunate for Cryptek there, he's now going to be under pressure from Holland Campion, who is about maybe 5-6 seconds behind. And really unfortunate for Cryptek there. Unfortunate that I was able to spot that. Here goes Tiger Assassin now diving it down the inside of Dan Schneider up into 3rd place, and we'll be hunting down his BCMR teammate as the next car in front. Dan Schneider with slightly more tyre wear than these guys after pitting a lap or two earlier. But still find himself in 4th place, and Dutchy, after pitting, after staying out for so many laps, comes out in 7th place, all behind Jetsi. You can see there I'm going through Spoon, Jetsy's just about to go through Spoon, and Play Dutchy is still in the run up towards Spoon, so he lost a lot of time staying out on those worn softs. Let's have a quick look and see what people have been saying in the chat. Hello Rick Holt, hi Dan. Welcome everyone. Here we go. I'm going to look for a move now on Dan Schneider. Couldn't quite get the move done there. I think there was a tiny little bit of contact. I do apologise about that. I honestly can't remember what happened from here on in, so I'm going into this quite blindly, just like you guys are, as Dan Schneider there weaving down the start finish straight. You could say maybe he's trying to get a bit of temperature in his tyres. I know that's something Crofty might try and waft about, but maybe it's him saying hi or something. Who knows? But Dan Schneider doing really well in 4th place at the minute. Ifin starting to lose time on those worn super softs, underfueling the car so he can maximise the amount of time he does on those super softs with low fuel. You can see the times there. Interestingly though, he was quicker on the last lap than Toussaint and Tiger, but I'd say the average lap, the guys behind on those fresh soft tyres are starting to come back into this one now, as we are on lap 16, so we've got about 10-11 laps left. Tiger getting a little bit loose on the rear. I was going to use the famous phrase loosey-goosey there, but I guess I kind of spoiled the moment a little bit. But I've been now still leading this race. Dutchy is coming back into this slowly but surely, has an 8/10 penalty to serve in this race, and is gaining on the back of Jetsi, who is gaining on the back of us lot on the fresh super soft tyres, much fresher than myself, and Dan actually going for the soft tyres. So with the tyre regulations for this season, we'll need to pit for a different compound of tyre. So will Tiger. Toussaint actually going for the soft, so the BCMR, both BCMR drivers, splitting the strategy. And Toussaint still able to maintain 2nd place, and this is good for Tiger, because if he can keep up with Toussaint on those soft tyres, I'm guessing Tiger's going to want to pit for the super softs in his 3rd stint, as the mediums, as they are good, they're not very quick. So yeah, Tiger's in a good position to take the lead in the 3rd stint. We've got a car off at turn 1, that is Bon Evil, who's not had a really good race here, really unfortunate. You can see the lap times on the right hand side, making a few mistakes, getting out of the way for Ifin going through, who is currently in the lead of the race, being under pressure, is under pressure from Tiger. Despite the gap being so big, the different strategies definitely come into it later on. But Dan Schneider still putting Toussaint under pressure, as Tiger actually got past his BCMR teammate for the lead. Unfortunately, I missed that look. Was too busy looking. There's someone going slowly at turn 1. I'll try and find who that is, and it's Tim, possibly running wide onto the AstroTurf, and that's really unfortunate for him. He's in 8th place after having his small incident at turn 3, I think it was, on lap 1, going off into the gravel. I don't think he got damage from that, but it definitely did cost him a lot of time in this race. You can see the top, well, 2nd to 5th there, separated by about 4-5 seconds, possibly, maybe not 4-5 seconds, 3 seconds I'd say, as the gap is coming down between Tiger and Ivan. I know you can't see it on the intervals, but trust me, it is definitely coming down with Ivan on his 1 super soft and low fuel, and Tiger, Toussaint, Dan, myself, and soon to be Jetsy and Dutchy putting him under pressure. You can see though, Dutchy, I don't think he's gaining as much on Jetsy as he would have thought he would, but just you wait until the end of the race. We believe Dutchy was trying a 1-stop, the only driver this season who's yet to do a 1-stop, and just gonna quickly see what's going on in the chat. Natty, is Dan Schneider a bit dirty on GT Sport? Yeah, he's the dirtiest driver I've ever seen. He's worse than the likes of Maldonado. No, with all being in all seriousness now, Dan is a very quick and clean driver in this league. He's definitely come alive in the second half, getting that podium in Dragon Trail Seaside, and he's doing really well in 4th place at the minute. Jetsy as well gaining on these guys. Dutchy saving fuel and his tyres. He's on the super soft. You can see how much more fuel he's got than Jetsy. Jetsy almost at half a tank. Dutchy is on about 80% of his fuel, and has got a lot more than the top guys in front of him. I'm guessing Gavra is was Tiger in this case. He needed to get past. He wasn't going to wait. Tiger getting past Toussaint. Hasn't won a race before this one this season. It's been a really Dutchy dominated season so far. We've had a few guys, a few different drivers on the top step of the podium, Toussaint and Tim being one of them. It's going to be interesting to see who's going to win this one. But yeah, we're just over halfway through the race. We haven't got a lot of laps to go. It's still Ivan who leads this race. Unfortunately, cannot win this race as he does have an LLP1. There's a car off. It's Bon Evil off at Spoon. Probably got onto the AstroTurf there, as a lot of drivers done this race, and I'm really unfortunate for her, or for him actually. Sorry, it's but. Yeah, Ivan still staying out on those soft tyres. Hasn't super soft. Sorry, hasn't got a lot of fuel left. So we'll be in the pits in the next few laps. You can see the front guys still really close together. I'm starting to drop off the back of Dan Schneider a little bit on my worn super soft tyres. And in this game, when the tyres go off, they do go off, and Jetsy's into the pits from the super softs. Has 50% of his fuel left, and so that's an early stop from Jetsy. Probably could have taken the tyres and fuel a little bit longer. They weren't the most worn super soft tyres you've ever seen. As you can see there, my super softs are a lot worse than his are. Dan Schneider's on about the same tyres as Jetsy was, but the front two, Tiger and Toussaint, well I say the front two, 2nd and 3rd place, sorry, still running close together, starting to gap Dan Schneider just a little bit. As you can see there on the mini-map, those two are going through the Degnas, and Dutchy still going through the S's in the first sector. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if this strategy works out well for Play Dutchy, as people who haven't really talked about much. Holland Campion was now gaining on Jetsy. Jetsy though just coming back out of the pit lane. Holland Campion on those worn super soft tyres. Atom's into the pits now with engine damage. That's a lot of damage for Atom. The only where places he hasn't got damage there is the left side of his car. And I'm not sure what happened to Tim there. I'm going to assume he crashed at Spoon or the exit of Spoon, because they're the only really two places that you can have such a catastrophic accident. Maybe even turn 1 as well. But Dan Schneider saying he liked the slipstream of you guys, and yeah, the slipstream is so powerful, and you can see that Dan Schneider just now dropping off out of the slipstream. He's lost 3 seconds on this lap, so he might have made a mistake somewhere, but you do lose a lot of time on worn tyres, and I've been into the pits with 2% of fuel left from the super soft tyres. From the lead of the race, Dan Schneider also follows him in, and myself does decide to pit as well. So we've got 3 drivers all in the pit. You can see Ivan with the least amount of fuel and Dan Schneider with the most amount of fuel going into this phase of pit stop. And it's the 2 BCMR boys who are staying out on their soft and super soft tyres respectively. You can see their Tiger's got a lot more fuel than Toussaint, was able to save under the slipstream, and when the time was right, made the move, and looks like he's still able to save the fuel well. Play Dutchy in 3rd place, was ghosted there, so might have made a mistake. Not too sure about that. And you can see there Jetsy, after making his pit stop a lap earlier, comes out of the pits just in front of me, and it's 6th place for Jetsy and 7th place for myself so far in this race. We're on lap 20, we're nearing the end of the race. And it's Tiger who leads after 20 laps in this race on the super soft tyres. Toussaint behind on the softs. Sorry, it's Toussaint on the super soft and Tiger in front on the softs. So split strategies there. As I think the closest battle on track at the minute is between myself and Jetsy, and Tiger and Toussaint as well, running closely to each other. The battle for the lead of the race is a car off at turn 1, and that is Kriptekov. Luckily no damage there for the British driver. First freshman constructors champion as well, but that's really unfortunate for him as we move up to the front of the grid. Will Tiger or Toussaint decide to come into the pits? And they do. Toussaint putting the gun early. It looked like he was staying out there. Heard Toussaint going for the undercut on his teammate, and still had 14% of his fuel left, so will be in probably for another set of super soft tyres. Started the race on the softs, so doesn't need to use 2 different tyre compounds, as he's already done that in this race. So yeah, Toussaint into the pits. Meanwhile, you can see there I'm now up into 6th place, getting the move done on Jetsy. I missed that, completely forgot what happened after about lap 15 in this race, so I'm pretty much as blind as everyone else. You can see here Jetsy losing a little bit of time down this straight. I have my hazard lights on. I forgot to turn them off for the majority of the race. I have them binded, as I think the things you can do in this game, you can bind a lot of buttons. Like Toussaint's got his windscreen might apply for him. We saw Tiger do that in the first 2 seasons of this first 2 seasons as well, but I think it's quite distracting on the bonnet cam. On this cam I think you can actually see the windscreen wiper. If you like right on board with Toussaint, where the black bit is at the bottom, obviously that's not there in the because we're in the replay camera, that's not actually there, and I think you can actually see the windscreen wiper, which I think is putting which is why Tiger hasn't got his on. But Toussaint, you know, maybe it's a bit dusty or something, and he needs to, or maybe his eyes aren't functioning as well as some of the other drivers, so maybe he might need to go to Specsavers, clean his windscreen wiper, or I don't know what's going on there. But you can see here Jetsy now gaining on the back of myself, about for 6th place in this race. Dutchy's made his way up into 2nd place, and doesn't look to be pitting again. You can see he's got over half a tank of fuel, and I think a full tank was about 11 or 12 laps. So with only 6-7 laps to go, if you do the maths, 12 divided by 2 is 6, so it's going to be tight with fuel for Dutchy. And Tiger is into the pits, responding a lap later to his teammate from the soft tyres. Will go on to the super softs or the mediums, likely to be the super softs with only the limited laps to go. And here goes Dutchy now round the final corner, and it looks like Dutchy will take the lead of the race once again. And the Dutch driver is able to get himself back up into the lead. Here goes Tiger out of the pits, comes out just behind Ivan, who is on semi-fresh super soft tyres, low fuel. Tiger on about the same. His teammate has come out just behind Tiger, so Tiger had a really good in-lap to stay ahead of his BCMR teammate. I'm sure Toussaint will be a little bit frustrated about that as well, but these two all fighting for constructors and drivers championships as well. Dutchy leading the championship by 52 points going into this race, needs to outscore Toussaint by 9 points to take the championship win before the final race in Spa. And that final race will hopefully be streamed live this Friday. We've got we've still got the championship in Group B to get done as well. So 2 amazing races coming right up this week, as well as the F1 races. But besides that, we've got Toussaint gaining on Tiger, who's gaining on Ivan in the battle for second place with only a few laps to go. And this is where things start to really get exciting with different strategies. The one-stop versus the aggressive two-stop against the kind of aggressive two-stop, but we'll have to wait and see how this one plays out. Here goes Tiger looking for a move on Ivan into 130R. They're going to go wheel to wheel. Tiger on the inside of Ivan. Ivan's going to try and hold it around the outside, but Tiger's able to get the move done up into second place, down the inside through 130R, and puts the car between himself and his teammate. And you see there Dutchy just coming around the final corner and across the line with the chasing pack of Ivan, Tiger and Toussaint closely behind. And you can see there's Jetsy all over the back of myself. We ride on board with the bonnet cam. You can see how much you gain with the slipstream. That's how powerful the slipstream is. I defend the inside line. Can Jetsy try and find a move around the outside? And it isn't able to get the move done just there. But Dutchy with a 7/10 penalty will need to serve that before the end of the race, otherwise it will round up to the nearest second, so we'll be given a 1 second penalty at the end of the race. And Tiger, Ivan, Toussaint still closing in on the Dutch driver, trying the one stop here. His super soft tyres are going to be shredded come the end of this race. Haven't been on them since lap 16, 15 I think it was when he pitted, so 12 laps on the super softs is incredible. I was struggling to do 10, 11 laps on the softs, let alone on the super softs. Dutchy having to save fuel as well to make the one stop work, because well, 12 plus 12 is not 27, so Dutchy having to save a lot of fuel in both stints. Obviously the slipstream would have helped him in the first stint. You can see there the battle between myself and Jetsy continues, but this is where let's not look at that. And so a bit of context behind this: I was completely I lost concentration, got into the grass and span, that gave me a lot of engine damage, and yeah, quite depressing, quite depressing to say the least. But you can see how much Tiger and Dutchy are gaining, and Rick Holt saying Natty isn't driving with a broken finger. Painful. It is quite painful, but I've got a way around it, and I've had to change a few binds on the steering wheel, a few buttons as well. But it could be worse. It could be worse. But you can see how much time Tiger has gained on Dutchy. I've been in Toussaint as well. Dutchy having to save fuel, running different engine modes in order to save the fuel needed. You can see there Toussaint as well, underfueling his car slightly with about 20-25% left. It's going to be tight if he can get to the end of the race, almost pushing Ivan now. You can see they're riding on board with Toussaint. He's almost pushing Ivan through the corners. You can see they're running on board with Tiger as well, gaining on the back of Dutchy. This is what Dutchy will be looking at from the rear of his car. If I can just get the camera angle, there we go. It would have been easier on the keyboard, that's just one click to get it, but nevertheless you can see how much time they're gaining on Dutchy. Will Tiger maybe look for a move? You can see that Toussaint going to dive one down the inside of Ivan. You can see Dutchy's losing a lot of time, as you can see that Tiger almost pushing him through the corner, as Tiger's gaining a lot of time on Dutchy in this final stint. There's not a lot of laps to go. Going into Spoon Curve, Tiger on the inside of Dutchy onto the AstroTurf, and that's a very dangerous place to be. There's contact between the two leaders, and Tiger's able to get the move done down the inside up into first place. But we've got 4 cars here separated by about maybe a second here, and it's going to be Dutchy looking for a move on Tiger down the inside. Tiger's going to try and hold it around the outside into 130R. Finn and Toussaint are going to try and get involved as well. It's going to go through wide into the final corner. Finn on around the outside of Tiger will be the inside for the final corner. Toussaint as well out of nowhere gets up into 3rd place. Finn dropping down to 4th place. Here goes Tiger now trying to look for a move on Dutchy, who regains the lead of the race after getting the move down the inside into 130R. Tiger on the back of Play Dutchy in towards turn 1. Is he going to send one down the inside? He's going to send one on the Play Dutchy. Nissan versus Lexus, and Dutchy's out of shape, getting onto the curb, drifting around turn 1. That's going to allow Toussaint and Ivan to go through. He's going to slot in between the Brit and the German down into 3rd place. His tyres are shredded compared to the top 2. Look how worn his super soft tyres are compared to Toussaint, and Dutchy's going to be struggling for grip. Now here comes Ivan all over the back of the Dutch driver. He's going to try and look for a move around the outside, but can't quite get the move done there. Dutchy maintaining third place with the 1/10 penalty, which he'll have to serve at 1 point. And just looking down the rest of the field, I don't think there were many battles going on apart from this one for the podium, and also crucially the championship fight, as it's currently Tiger who leads the way, 2 in second, Dutchy, Dirt and Ivan in fourth. Those are your top 4 with only 2 or 3 laps to go. Here comes Ivan sending one down the inside of play. Dutchy gets the move down. You can see Dutchy really struggling for grip on his about 10, 11, 12 lap hold super softs, as Dutchy though with the power of the Lexus is going to try and send one down the inside before Spoon. It'll be round the outside after going into Spoon. He's onto the grab, onto the curb, and Dutchy's starting to struggle a lot now on those super soft tyres, as able to serve his 1/10 penalty in the meantime. Having another quick look in the chat, Dan started saying he bumped me, sorry, it was my fault. To be honest, Dan, I don't remember, so it can't have been that bad if I don't remember it. So you're all okay on that behalf. Normally I remember incidents or collisions, but yeah, I don't remember it, so it can't have been that bad. But it was a great race. Dan Schneider currently running in 5th place. As you can see there, Dutchy's just starting to lose a little bit of time to Ivan now. But a crucial phase of the race. Look at the fuel. Ivan, Toussaint and Tiger. Toussaint not with a lot of fuel left. We're approaching the end of the race. Obviously, well, for this season, for those who don't know, we are running endurance race style. I think that's the best way to put it. We have 50-minute races rather than a set number of laps. So we often calculate the rough number of laps. We calculated, I think it was 27 for this race, but that might not be the case. There might be a collision or more pit stops, which can, influence the amount of laps. And you could find yourself doing one more lap if you come across the line with 2 seconds to go. The car behind doesn't have to do any more laps, so they can really push for their fuel. But so to put it into context, let's say there's a minute left to go in this race. Tiger, Toussaint, Ivan and Dutchy are all going to have to do another lap. But let's say Darren Schneider, Jetsy, myself, Holland, we're not going to have to do another lap. And what is it with me spectating people who are making mistakes? Holland drifting through turn 1. You can see there myself and Bonnie having a little bit of fun racing while for battle for 7th place. Has the lap down, and that's Dutchy going off, and it's Dutchy crashing as a rare sight. So I think it's only right. Actually, no, I don't want to skip it, because I think that skips it right back to the start. And the last time I had done that, it was not good. But Dutchy making a mistake, and that's a very rare sight. I remember now. This is really bad of me not remembering this, but he's getting onto the AstroTurf, losing on his warm tyres, promotes Dan Schneider up into 4th place, and is now under pressure from Jetsy. But Dutchy running wide at Spoon Curve onto the AstroTurf and losing control of the car. It's a rare sight to see Dutchy spinning, as you can see there, Toussaint and Ivan now going wheel to wheel, spin onto the AstroTurf, almost drifting through turn 1 like Holland were doing. But a lot of drivers in this race losing out onto the curbs. I know I made a few mistakes as well. It's really easy to do in this race, getting onto the curbs, trying to use the track limits, but then you get pulled out wide, and there's nothing you can do. It's like poo on at Spa. That AstroTurf from the outside is deadly, and drivers going to have to try and avoid that on Friday at the final 2 races of the season. How quickly it has gone. But currently Tiger leading this race, and is looking good to take his first win of the season. I don't want to jinx anything just yet, but you can see Ivan just losing out a little bit of time now to Toussaint, about 1-2 seconds separating those guys. Jetsy putting down Dutchy under pressure now, and this is where I was really kicking myself, because this is where I lost all my time in that spin a few laps ago. I was battling with Jetsy before that, and how much fun it could have been fighting Dutchy for 5th place had I not made that mistake. Dutchy defends the inside line, is going to try and make Jetsy go around the outside. Jetsy though will try and get a good run, a good line to attack, play Dutchy, and I think this is possibly the final lap. Maybe there was one more lap, but you can see there Toussaint, look how much fuel he's got. He's got barely no fuel in the car, Tiger though going through 130R, you can see there at the top of the screen it does say final lap, so this will be the final lap of the race. The battle for 5th place continues, and it's going to be Tiger Assassin now. It all looks good from him if he doesn't make any mistakes coming around the final 2 races, final 2 corners, sorry, here at not Spa, Suzuka in Japan, and wins his first race of the season. And what a race win it's been from him. You can see Jetsy getting past Dutchy there, but Toussaint and Ivan will come across the line in 2nd and 3rd respectively. Dan Schneider doing really well in 4th place, finishes ahead of his teammate Jetsy, who's fighting with Dutchy. Up to the line it's going to be Jetsy who takes 5th place, and Dutchy will have to settle in for 6th place, and it's the first time this whole season that Dutchy has failed to finish on the podium. And what a race it's been. Toussaint barely have just had enough fuel. You can see there the tiniest pixel of red indicating he had just enough fuel to get to the end of this race. And myself and Bonnie were just having a little bit of fun at this point because we had a gap to Holland and Dutchy. And yeah, really unfortunate race for Bonnie Evil, making a few mistakes early on. Couldn't quite get the rhythm in this race, but it's going to be myself coming across the line in 7th place. And going wheel to wheel with Bonnie Evil there. Bonnie Evil in 11th. Holland Campion having a quiet race in 8th place. Decides to slow down before the line, and it's Attengren, Grimtech in 10th as well, was able to finish just ahead of Tiger there. But it's going to be Atim who will come across the line in 9th place. I believe he won in Fuji, so your last week's race winner has actually ran out of fuel there. You can see his foot's firmly down on the accelerator, doing 49 miles per hour up to the line, and finishes the race in 9th place. I didn't get to stop it in time, so let me just quickly go into the race because I haven't got the music turned off. But that has been the end of this race in Suzuka. I hope you really enjoyed it. It's been great being back in the commentary box for this race here in the GT Sport League Group 1. But join us next week for the race at Spa, the final race of the GT Sport League, and I can confirm that after that result it was Play Dutchy who won the Constructors the Drivers' Championship, and the BCMR team, Tiger and Toussaint, won the Constructors' Championship. But that's been all from myself here tonight. I hope you really enjoyed, and well, here's going to be a quick look at the starting grid because I had my mic off for that one. So it was Dutchy who got pole, and Toussaint, myself, Jetsy, Dan, Tiger, Tim, Finn, Holland, Bonnie and Cryptech was your starting grid. But I've been X-Mated, and I hope you've really enjoyed this one. See you next week for commentary with Ben and Isaac for the final race of Group 1. I hope you really enjoyed, and it's goodbye from me. See you next week.